I recently saw a video by the great YouTube channel Man Carrying Thing discussing a big old Twitter controversy about what writers should do.
And you're still getting it wrong.
What's new? But this ruckus was initiated by one Aaron Gwynn's declaration that, in his fiction writing classes, an alarming number of students cannot name a single novelist. Now, naturally, two pitched sides were basically saying back and forth that either reading is for the weak, or if you're a writer that doesn't read, you are the devil himself.
I just want to say that I'm a huge fan.
And in all that discourse, I didn't see anyone mention what I think is the most important element here: should. It's the crux of the discussion. Should you this? Should you that? Well, I had an awesome high school English teacher that shocked my entire class by introducing to us the beautiful phrase, "If you don't should on me, I won't should on you." I know! Cut to my class. Did she really just say that? And it stuck with me. And so did the point of the phrase. Should almost always acts as a judgment or an obligation. It's one person telling another that what they're doing is bad, or possibly even less than ideal.
Curse my intensely burning apathy towards criticism.
But who really cares? At the end of the day, most writers are just gonna be hobbyists anyway. That was true before AI ever hit the scene. A friend of mine who worked as a professional editor once told me that a fraction of the books that are started will ever be finished. A fraction of those will get published, and a fraction of those will make it to shelves, and a fraction of those will ever become truly successful.
Certainty of death, small chance of success. What are we waiting for?
If you're working in a particular genre, just walk through that section at the local bookstore and you will feel it. And that sounds rough, but what it means is that we're free to write for fun. We can explore the craft and try to improve however we like, whether that's reading or watching shows, playing video games. There aren't any rules. Nobody's holding a gun to your head. So let's try this. Change that should to a could. No forced obligation. Let's just explore the positives and negatives and see what the opportunity of reading holds for us. If we do that, we come up with some pretty interesting results that I think you're gonna wanna hear. If you ask pretty much any well-read writer, they're gonna agree that reading was a benefit to them. Hands down, 99% are gonna corroborate that view. If you ask me why, my guess is this: novels live and die on the strength of their words alone. Unlike screenplays, comics, video game design docs, or anything else. Those can all be carried by directors, art style, game mechanics, etc. and so on. The only format that really shows how words themselves can make a story come to life is literary.
I'd like to spend my vacation at the library.
If you follow current novel releases, you can get a much better idea of how black and white text might be used to quickly grab your audience, because new novels need to seize the attention of a much faster world. On the other hand, if you read classics, as dry as they might be, and I know they can be very dry, but we'll get back to that, you're gonna get a clearer idea of the themes and ideas that give stories staying power rather than just that flash in the pan.
It's all part and parcel the whole genie gig.
Phenomenal cosmic power!
Essentially, there are a lot of great things to be learned across the literary board. And now, I assume the reason that this is hard to believe is because it's based on empirical evidence. And I get that. There is no way to quantify the effect that reading has on writing in a way that could fully convince an aspiring author that it's worthwhile. But I do think the fact that 9 out of 10 doctors, I mean successful writers, recommend reading should be enough to hint at its serious potential. Although, there is a smaller but more direct positive: being able to talk about stories. Simply put, the more books you read, the more stories you can competently discuss. And that is a huge benefit for creative networking and collaboration, and most importantly, simple discussion fun. And yes, if you were thinking about it, this absolutely goes way beyond books. I am an actor, and it is a gigantic help to be familiar with a wide range of novels and movies and comics, manga, video games, TV shows, all of that, especially when adaptations combine 2 or more formats like my beloved Berserk.
I think it's great. I truly mean that.
Which is all to say, all media is great, but if you cut out novels, you're missing some of the best stories in existence. Or, at the very least, their original versions. Take Harry Potter, for example. Despite the films being one of the best adaptations that have ever been created, they still miss some awesome content that couldn't be ported to film. In essence, you don't have to read, but boy, you could, and it would be awesome. Which brings us to what might be the deeper issue. the fears. And I say fears rather than negatives because really, most of these are neutrals or positives that are just wearing a mask. Allow me to explain. First off, let's hit the big kahuna. If I read what others write, I won't have a unique voice. This view is rampant, and I absolutely understand the concern, but I am happy to say it's entirely unfounded. There is nothing to worry about here, folks. Let me give a personal anecdote. My first book, Wyndon's Legacy, was basically Redwall fanfic. I didn't use locations or characters from Brian Jake's series. The details were all original, but I loved Redwall so much I tried to infuse my book with all the same swashbuckling medieval adventure featuring anthropomorphic animals that define that series. Despite my attempts to be Brian Jakes, when I go back and read my work, it's me.
There is no secret ingredient.
Yeah, it's also very Redwall. It's got the elements I listed, but it's still me. My voice, my style, my plot points, my unique fingerprint. And here's the kicker. You're you. Anything that you write, no matter how much you're inspired by, or heck, how much you try to copy someone else, your writing will always become you. You can't help it. But that's a great thing because it means there's nothing to be afraid of in regards to losing your voice. In fact, if you see what others have done, you're gonna be able to define your voice in contrast and iterate on what's come before in your genre. You're gonna have a much better chance of avoiding cliches. This isn't a negative. This is a huge positive with an admittedly very scary mask.
Wait, Vanessa loves you. She doesn't care what you low. You should keep it that way.
What, like wear a mask?
Yes, a very thick mask, all the time.
With that out of the way, we're on to point number 2. The final, deepest, darkest one. And it is, reading is hard and time consuming. And I am not denying that or throwing shade at anyone who dislikes reading. I personally decided to make a journey through the classics, and I have seen some of the absolute worst. I got stuck in Victor Hugo's Les Mis for 2 years because it was so crazy dense, and that was one of the books that I actually liked. Quick side note, my easiest reads were Mutiny on the Bounty, Devil in the White City, and my current favorite, The Picture of Dorian Gray. I love them, huge recommend. Moving on. This point is where a lot of the consternation from more experienced writers comes in. A lot of that anger is petty, there's no denying it.
I had to struggle through books I don't like, so you should too.
It just smacks of pride and, if we're being honest, bitterness. So forget that because there's a more positive, helpful side to this. Some experienced writers just don't want aspiring authors to miss out on the benefits of reading novels for fear of the time sink. They know reading is less engaging than other forms of media. I mean, Lord knows when I get home, I'd rather pop on my Quest 2 VR headset or watch my boys, the Game Grumps, my favorite Let's Play channel. But investing time in reading is practically guaranteed to 1, benefit your writing, 2, benefit the rest of us who really do want to experience awesome stories, and most importantly, 3, help your mind relax from overstimulation. And that's the real opposite to this fear. If you've seen all those dopamine detox videos on YouTube, you know that our minds need a break every once in a while from the overstimulation of digital forms of entertainment.
I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that.
Reading gives your mind that break, and it's still one of the most engrossing, entertaining experiences. Yeah, sure, your mind has to work as the director, the cinematographers, the actors, wardrobe, set design, all of that rolled into one, but the experience is worth easing into. Not only, but especially because it gives your mind a break from the slurry of digital entertainment. If all this is not enough to convince you, I completely understand. I want to stress, reading is worth it. As a guy who admittedly struggles himself to make time for reading, I have never regretted a single moment that I did, and I want that for you. But of course, you have no responsibility, no obligation to do it for anyone. I'm just saying, you could do it for you. And
it'd be a lot cooler if you did.
in conclusion, if you're an aspiring writer, reading novels can massively increase your writing abilities and help you hold more knowledgeable conversations about some of the greatest stories in the world. You don't need to fear losing your identity, and the time and effort that you spend is going to reap the additional reward of giving your mind a much needed break from today's high-density media. And that, of course, is what this channel is aiming to do. Trying to get people inspired by all sorts of stories and direct that energy into quick, fun, accessible exercises to stretch your creative muscles. I'm trying to model this after Bob Ross's The Joy of Painting. Bob Ross often noted that he developed his style because he wasn't great at classical painting, but ironically, he's probably made more great artists in the past century than any painting purist. And to that end, I did have another vid in the editing bay for this week that does go into an exercise, and I'm still gonna try to get it out this weekend, but I just wanted to make this quick PSA detour. So with that said, I appreciate you watching, and until that next video comes out, you have a great day. Adios!